Hello. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Dr. Monica, consultant neonatal perinatal medicine in Emirates Specialty Hospital. First of all, I would like to really congratulate you to have started this initiative, which is very, very important for the parents and for the pediatricians to know how are they going to take care of the babies. And I would congratulate Dr. Hinda and the team to have started this. And I thank you to have invited me to deliver this important talk. So, um, so my topic today is how do we empower our parents to take care of their babies? So this is very, very important. And so how do we do that? Um, we should be knowing ourselves how to educate our parents to take care of the babies once the babies are born. So postnatal parenting is important. And I would be just talking to a simple general infant care. Let's talk about the newborn screen. So what happens when the baby is just born? They are filled with the vernix and everyone is in hurry. Why did you not give bath to my baby? Why this baby is looking so dirty? But here we have to explain to the parents this vernix is very, very important for the baby's skin. It is actually like an antiseptic, antioxidant. It is protecting our baby from the hypothermia and it is also protecting the baby from all irritations around. So it is very important to take care of the vernix. And initial few hours at least, it will protect our babies from all the things. And we also should emphasize that newborn skin is very, very delicate and also is delicate the immune system. So if and any infection can seep in through this skin. So we have to tell them that this vernix is going to be shedding and we should not be rubbing it or peeling it off. So it may actually irritate the baby's skin. And if the baby is born post mature, then of course this is already being done inside the mom's womb. Now, about the baby skincare, we have to teach our parents that we don't need to keep on giving bath to the babies because if we keep on giving bath to the babies, they may end up in a dry skin. So we should be giving bath only once and we should minimize the use of too much of a soap. We can use something which has a pH of 5.5, which is very good for the baby's skin. And we should not be using scented moisturizer, but only a simple unscented moisturizer should be there because we want to prevent dryness, but at the same time, we don't want that skin should get irritated with the chemicals. And never ever put powder on baby's body because the powder is a big irritant as well as it is an allergen. So, the babies may come up with sneezing, coughing, and also skin rashes. Now, if the baby has a rash and it is already there, or it's a rash which is looking like a infection, bacterial or a fungal, then we need to be taking the baby to the doctor, and the doctor has to see and differentiate whether it is infection or not, and then give appropriate treatment. Just don't go and buy medicine which is containing antibacterial, antifungal, and steroids, which will be very harmful for the babies. And very common is the contact dermatitis. So you will know that wherever there is a contact of the skin with the thing which is causing irritation and the baby might be allergic to, there you will get the rashes. So that's how you can differentiate. Now, regarding the bath, as we said, don't bath the baby immediately. The vernix is very important and it is will actually help our babies to be not getting hypothermic. And if later when we start giving bath, then we should be giving bath once daily. And if we have a cold weather, we should say that the temperature of the room should be warm and the temperature of the water should also be warm, but it should not be too hot. And we should be bathing them in a shallow water, but and all the time we don't need to put too much of a soap. Very important point. You should not think that it is a shallow water and so you can leave the baby. The babies can drown in shallow water. So, and we have seen those mishaps happening. And sometimes, you may be seeing your baby crying and they don't like to be taking bath. Some of the babies are happy babies. And some of the babies, as they grow, they become frightened in the bathtub. So those babies have to be handled in a different way. So you should be introducing the bath slowly, so that the baby should feel safe, and it should become a fun and not a horrible thing to be done. Then whenever we are giving bath, we should be cleaning the baby's eyes and around the ears, around the nose, with a warm water, cotton wool, and soft cloth. Whenever we want to clean the eyes of the baby, we should be cleaning from inside out, not from outside in to introduce any infection inside. And the nose and the ear should not always be cleaned from outside. Don't clean them from inside with like water. Then genital care and hygiene is very important. We have to tell our parents, especially a female child, we should know that we have to clean them properly, because they will be, if they are not cleaned well, they may cause urinary tract infection. So we have to hold gently the legs up, and we have to clean from up to like front to the back, not from back to the front. So you should not bring the potty or something from back to front. So it should always be from front to back. And for the boys also, we have to gently rinse the genital area with water while we are bathing them. We have to gently clean the foreskin, not retract it very forcefully. And also, we should always make sure that we have a nappy free time, so that there is a air drying, and the bottom should be dry to prevent any kind of a nappy rash. Now, what about diaper use? Most of the grandmothers will be saying, no, no, we never used to use the diapers in our babies, and the diapers may cause rashes, and you should not be using diapers. But you should tell them gently that, we are having a cloth diapers, which we can be using, and they are eco-friendly, and they don't cause nappy rash. When we are using the diapers, we should be checking frequently, change frequently, especially if there is a hot and humid climate. And whenever we are changing, we should be cleaning the area with water and allow it to first dry, then put the diaper on. And this will help to prevent any kind of skin rashes and the skin infections. Also, you should put some gentle nappy rash cream to prevent the rash, like those creams which are containing zinc. And also in between, you should expose it to air so that it should not remain moist. If we already developed a rash, so this is was to prevent the rash. But if already the baby developed a rash and the rash is not improving over a week, or it is now changing to a blister, crust, or pimples are appearing, or your child is quite upset and irritated and not able to sleep because of this rash, or it develops fever on top of the rash, or is it spreading now up on the abdomen or down, or it is coming, if it is a baby boy, coming on the penis, which is becoming red and swollen, or it has developed a scab, then this is a time when you have to come to the doctor and show the doctor. Now, how to make sure the baby is passing, taking adequate milk, and the urine what baby is passing is okay or not okay. So I always tell the parents that if the baby is passing 6 to 7 times urine in 24 hours, that means you have given enough milk, and the color of the urine should be colorless, or and sometimes it may be light yellow, but it should not be dark yellow. And this shows that we have given enough milk to the baby. So we should tell the parents also that the color, consistency, and smell of the baby poop depends on what the babies are eating and what the moms are eating, and it depends on their diet. However, poo problem can be causing, like parents can come with constipation and diarrhea. So we should also tell mom, if they are breastfeeding, that they should be eating a very balanced diet, so as to whatever they are eating, and if they are taking any medications, may also affect the baby's poo. And if you look at, you can give this color code to the parents, so that they can see that if it is a pale straw color, that means it's a healthy baby. Transparent yellow is also normal. Dark yellow means that there is little less milk intake, so you have to increase the milk intake. However, if it becomes amber or honey, then that means it's really going into dehydration. So we have to really increase the intake and come back quite early to see if it's not becoming worse. However, if it is a syrup or a brown ale, then that means it's something wrong. Either there is a lot of dehydration and there are crystals being formed there, or it may be due to some liver disease which is causing conjugated bilirubin. So this is the time when amber or honey or syrup or brown ale is coming, you should bring the baby to the doctor. About the poo guide, this is very important for the first time moms, that how the stool changes, so that they should not be worried. We should know that within first 24 hours, the baby should pass stool. And if the baby is not passed stool in 24 hours, then it is the problem, especially if the babies are born in home. And the first stool is like which is called meconium. It is actually dark or green or blackish. It is kind of a thick, sticky, shiny tar like, and it contains mixture of certain elements. That's why it is like this. However, then after 2 to 4 days, in 2 to 4 days, there is a transition stool. So which means now it is turning into dark green or lightish brownish, and it will be sticky, but it will be softer. And so it will be a mixture of the meconium and the breastfeeding poop. Now, the poop of a breastfeeding babies and a poop of a formula babies would be different. So you should tell them very clearly, if a baby is breastfed, then the poop will turn yellow or yellowish green, and it will be very seedy, soft, and squishy. It will be like a mustard or potassium or a scrambled egg. That's how it will be. Uh, and usually it has a sweet smell. However, if you are giving a formula milk, then the color of the poop can be yellow, brown, green to brown. It is thicker, firmer, and it is similar to like a peanut butter or a toothpaste. And it will be more smelling than the breastfeed thing. And if it is a combination, then you might have dark yellow, brown kind of a poop, which is more whatever more you are giving, it is more towards that. And if you start giving solid food later, the poop will be different. It will start form stool. It will be dark brown, yellow, and thicker, firmer, but it should be softer. And depending on what the baby is eating, the color might change. Now, massaging the baby is very important, because you know that in our country the dais are coming and they are massaging, and they may be doing it very, very vigorously, and they might be asking to use different kind of oils or something. And hence we have to be telling very clearly that the massage should be very simple, gentle, only moderate pressure should be using on the baby, which is beneficial. And at that time, it should be a very beautiful experience between the baby and the mom. And they should have comfort cues and during the massage. The benefit of the massage are that you know that the skin is the largest sensory organ of the baby available for stimulation. So you will, when you're stimulating, it will have a better sleep wake pattern, better gain in the weight, better neuromuscular development, and it actually helps in the body temperature regulation. It actually, when you, I would like to say that mom should be the one who should be massaging, because it gives a very good opportunity for eye contact and communication with the baby. And so there will be a bondage between the mom and the child, an emotional bond. And I have always massaged my babies myself. The myths, which is very important, don't believe in them. As I said, vigorous stroking massage, putting a mineral oil or a synthetic cream, or that you should put a lot of oil on the fontanelle so that it closes, or you use oil in the ear, nose, nose and the ear, it will remain clean. No, no, no. You may have bring baby into a dangerous situation. Or putting oil in the umbilical stem will help the stem to fall and dry up fast. No. Umbilical cord should be left dry, clean, not to be putting anything on it, not even alcohol swab or betadine. And also that if you keep on massaging, it will help in a better weight gain. These are all myths not to be done. Then the baby clothing. The clothing should be very, very soft, gentle, cotton, skin friendly, easy to put and easy to take off. Sometimes I've seen, you know, there are zippers and, you know, skin might come into it. And some of them are putting pins which may hurt the baby. And some are very tight and elastic that may cause strangulation on the limbs. And depending on the weather, you have to change the layers of the clothing. And what I say is that initially you should put inner shirt, full sleeves, pull up to legs, mittens, socks, cap, and wrap, and keep touching the palm and sole to see if they are warm or not. And they should not be sweating, because if they are too much sweating, cranky, then that means that's not okay. And if they are cold, also they are not okay. So both extremes are not good for our baby. Then swaddling. The swaddling is a very beautiful, because inside the baby was in a very calm and nice position in the womb, and when you swaddle, they feel same comfort as in the womb. So that's why swaddling is very nice. But you should not put them straight and then make them swaddle. That is not right. It should be baby's comfortable position, which will make him warm, secure, calm, and promote sleep. And also it promotes emotional stability. But do not have any other loose blanket in the baby's crib, which was it may hamper. And don't overheat, so that also have to be taken care of. And you can go to this video how to swaddle the baby. About the hair care, we all know that there is a cradle caps with which the parents may be coming to us, and you have to tell them it is a oily, scaly crust that the babies might have on their scalps, in their body folds, on their torsos. Although cradle caps, they look quite uncomfortable, but it is not really bothering the baby. And usually it will start from the birth and will last for up to 12 months. We should wash hair once in a week, or we can wash them more frequently when in summer. And if it is too much and causing more this thing and going into seborrheic dermatitis, then that's the time when we have to come to the doctor to start some treatment on it. Then the nail care, because we all see that, the nails may be dirty. The baby may put the nails in the mouth and cause infection. The nails, if they are long, they may hurt their eyes. So we need to cut the baby's nail, but they should not be cut too frequently. And also you should not damage the skin of the baby's fingers while cutting the nails. And you may cause infection while doing that, or you may cause trauma while doing that. And you get a baby nail scissors, and best time is when you have given bath to the baby. That time the nail is soft, so very easy to cut. And when the baby is calm, but because after the bath the baby is quite calm and drowsy, so it's very easy for you to cut the nail. Hold one finger each, so that suddenly the baby should not take away the hand and you cut the skin. And you can try, if the baby is awake, you can sing and distract the baby in another ways. Make sure you don't give infection while you are doing so. And if in case you feel that it is redness, infection, or painful, you should come to the doctor. Then importance of sleep. All the time, we say that, oh, baby is always sleeping. So we all have to tell the parents that adequate sleep is very important for the quality of life, mental and physical health for us and baby as well. And the babies usually sleep for 16 to 20 hours. They are awake only for some hours and 1 to 2 hours in between the sleep. And the babies who are between 2 to 12 months, they are sleeping now less, 15 to 15 hours, and including the night nap and the morning naps and the afternoon naps. So as they become bigger, the sleep pattern is reduced. Now, how do you make the babies to sleep well? So you should be feeding them well, which will make them sleep well, especially before bedtime. And place the baby in the bed when he's sleepy, but not yet asleep. So that time you have to do. And you should know that there are cycles of fuss and checks. They may come up. And those periods may be lasting for 10 minutes or so. Don't get afraid of those. And you should try to make a routine bedtime. You should try to make a diurnal rhythm, circadian rhythm, day and night rhythm, and try to make a comfortable sleep environment for your baby. If too many lights are on and there are lots of sound there, then how the baby is going to sleep. And if it is getting bigger, so you can also go for a bedtime stories. Now, the safe sleep practices is that you should be putting the baby on the back up to the age of 1 year, because we are all afraid of the sudden infant deaths if we put them on prone. Plus, we should have a mattress which is firm, which is well fitted sheet and safe grip, because if they're loose, they may smother, as I already said. There should be no cuts out or decorative cuts out, because it may also injure the baby. Please do not use pillows or comforters. Make sure your baby's face and head stay uncovered and clear of the blanket and covering. Do not put your child in bed with a bottle or a cup. And sleeping with the milk or juice in the mouth will lead to later tooth decay. Now, as I said, don't have too much of lights on. The screens should be turned off. And you should remember that screens are bad for your baby's developing brain. Also, the melatonin, blue light may interfere with the melatonin secretion. Also, it is affecting us and the baby as well. And so you may see sometimes parents coming with a fussy baby who's not sleeping in the night. So you will find that this may be one of the reasons. And hence TV, computer screens should not be kept in the children's bedroom. It should be there. And when should you consult a doctor? Whenever the sleep problem continues, even when you have established a bedtime or daytime routine, baby is too much irritable, hyperactive during the day, or if the baby is snoring, so there might be a sleep apnea, or there is a long pauses in the breath during sleep, that means something is going wrong and you have to bring the baby to the doctor, and you can consult the doctor on phone as well. Now, activity is like, of course, it's a newborn who can make active. Newborn activity starts when you are actually doing massage, but later on, activity is important in each phase of the child's development because it helps in the growth and development. It improves the general health and well-being, and development of essential links between thinking, language, and movement. Every day, the baby is growing and his activity is improving, and overall health is changing. So we have to look at that. Having said that, we should not forget about vaccination. The vaccinations we are giving at birth, and later on we should be giving the vaccination book. We should show the vaccination book to the parents because it should not happen. You have put it in their all the things and they don't even know that there was some vaccination book existing. And you have to tell what is the importance of vaccination and what is the schedule of the vaccination. 10 vaccines to prevent child's 15 diseases. And also, along with that, you should not forget about emotional vaccine too. So when should they bring to the pediatrician? This is my last take home, that when the baby is crying excessively, baby looks lethargic, baby is not taking feed as before, either is unable to take feed at all, or it is decreased a lot, or if you see yellowish discoloration of the eyes or the skin, so jaundice is appearing, or if there is a bluish discoloration of eyes or the skin, or there is a blackish bluish around the mouth, if the baby is having noisy breathing, if every time you give feed and baby is vomiting everything, or if you see any bleeding from the cord, or if you find any kind of abnormal movements, please bring the baby to the pediatrician. So if the moms are saying, I'm a working mom, what should I do? So we have to give her tips that after delivery, postpartum, we should ask her to take enough rest to feel fit. And she should be consulting the doctor immediately for any health problems. We should ask her to take all her maternity leave after the baby is born. And if she doesn't have a maternity leave, then she should be staying close to the workplace to take the feeding breaks. And because we want our babies to be exclusively breastfed for 0 to 6 months, and we should be involved early on the other family members in the child care. So before she starts working, what we should say that the child should be comfortable with the other family members, and everyone should be trained, whosoever is going to take care of the baby, that they can take care of the baby. And 10 to 15 days before you start work, you should start training them. And if you cannot take leave and have to go to work, and you cannot come back home for the breast milk breaks, then you should in the office itself express your breast milk and keep. So before leaving from work and in the hospital and in the your office, you should be doing that. And you should start complementary feeding between 4 to 6 months and continue feeding when you go home. Complementary feeding can be done when you're at work. So the key messages are that newborn care need to be discussed with parents and emphasize, please don't believe in myths. Massage has a lot of benefits, but you should know how to do it. And mothers, if they are doing, would be better than the guys. Know the danger sign and seek help early. Ensure that baby receives all vaccination and assessment of growth and development in each scheduled visits. Sleep hygiene and safe sleep practices are to be advised so that there should be no mishaps. and baby should be kept active. Working parents to be supported in their parenting issues. Thank you, and I'm open for any questions.